Zhong Zhiqing, party group member and deputy DG of the Hubei Department of Finance; Shen Wenjun, level 2 councillor of the Hubei Administration of Local Financial Supervision; and Li Yang, Mr. Li Yang, deputy DG of Hubei CDC. As of 24 o'clock, June the 4th, the number of accumulative confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Hubei reached 68,135, among which 50,340 in Wuhan and 17,795 in other cities. From 0 to 24 o'clock, June the 4th, the number of newly added confirmed COVID-19 cases was 0. There was no imported case. For 17 days in a row, Wuhan has reported 0 confirmed cases, and for 92 days in a row, the regions out of Wuhan in the province have reported 0 new confirmed cases. As of 24 o'clock, June the 4th, the number of existing confirmed cases was 0, and the number of the existing suspected cases was 0. The number of accumulative fatal cases was 4,512, and the accumulative discharged cases numbered 63,623. From 0 to 24 o'clock, June the 4th, the number of newly added asymptomatic cases was 0, none of them developed into confirmed cases, and we removed the 28 cases from the quarantine, and so 217 asymptomatic cases are under the medical observation. And now I'd like to give the floor to Mr. Meng Chunling to give us interpretations on the government documents to support the SMEs and SMBs to tide over the difficulties. Friends of the press, good afternoon. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to you for your long-term support and your attention to our province development, especially the SME and SMB development. Those enterprises, they are major pillar drivers for the economic development in our province. They have played a crucial role in driving the provincial economic development. However, under the negative impact of COVID-19, the medium, small, and micro enterprises are facing increasing problems. For example, they have faced problems like financial difficulties, lack of logistics, and also the shortage of commands. In order to help those enterprises to tide over the difficulties and also ensure healthy development of them and resume their work as soon as possible, our provincial party secretary and also the governor have organized the meetings to listen to the opinions and proposals from the leaders of those enterprises. The provincial government has published the documents and policy measures to support the socio-economic development in total 30 articles. In order to tackle the negative impact of the COVID-19, we have also published a portfolio of 18 articles to support the medium, small, and micro enterprises. Our governor has organized many meetings and arranged in person the work and the policy measures to help these enterprises to tide over the difficulties in order to better apply the decisions of General Secretary Xi Jinping to coordinate the epidemic control and socio-economic development, and also to ensure the development in the 6 areas and the 6 fronts, and apply the central government's requirements of supporting the SME and SMB development. We have to create an enabling environment for them to do business. Our department has set up a workforce. In collaboration with other departments, we have carried out an in-field investigation to know the real needs of the micro, small, and medium enterprises. On that basis, we have set up a portfolio of measures. Upon the approval, on the 16th of May, we have published the official document to support the SMEs and SMBs to tide over the difficulties. There are several policy measures. I'd like to brief you the major content. In the document, there are several parts. For example, the increase of financial support, the reduction of the financial burden, including the release of the inclusive loans and also the reduction of the tax payments of the enterprises. All those are very practical measures. They can surely help the enterprises to tide over the difficulties and consolidate a healthier development in this epidemic era. More specifically, there are several parts. First of all, we put the focus to help the enterprises to deal with the existing problems, for example, the rising costs of the production. So we have given them more financial support and also other policy measures to reduce their financial burden. Let me give you an example. In Article 1, the release of relief loans in the province, we will set up 30 billion of a specialized fund for the financial assistance to the enterprises. In the Article 2, for the increasing financial support, financial institutions are releasing the inclusive loans to the enterprises. We will give a subsidy to those institutions that are willing to give more loans to the SMEs. For those demanding for less than 3 million of loans, and for a maximum duration of 2 years, they can enjoy a zero guarantee policy. And they will also receive a subsidy to 50% of their interest. Since the 1st of March, we have decided to exempt the value-added taxes paid by the small taxpayers and also lower their payments during their utilization of the electricity and water. This preferential cost will last until the last day of September. And for the other enterprises out of the special list, the local government can set a ratio according to their local conditions and try to enlarge the coverage by this preferential policy. And secondly, in order to sustain the development of the enterprises, we have decided to lower the cost of land use for the enterprises. We have elaborated detailed policies to consolidate their confidence and also innovate more in their daily operation. For example, in Article 5, for the encouragement of the startups, for those successful startups at national level and also the manufacturing production basis, for every unit of work, they can receive an award from the government. At the level of cities and prefecture, every unit of work qualified could receive at least 1 million RMB. We will also give socialized services to the small enterprises. In Article 10 about the lowering of cost of labor, we will exempt or reduce the contribution of employers to the social security scheme of their employees. For the projects included in the catalog of the province and also the manufacturers for the medical supplies, in the transfer of land, they can also receive 70% of a 30% off the minimum price in the market. In order to help those enterprises to realize a long-term healthy development, we have to create an enabling environment for them. For example, we have the system in which the government officials will visit the enterprises to help the enterprises to consolidate the confidence and also tide over the difficulties. This will also help to harmonize the relationship between the government and business owners. In order to apply every detail of the policies, it is noted that we have to set up long-term application mechanism in the Article 15. We will strengthen our efforts in the supervision, evaluation, and assessment so that there is an enclosed loop in our application of policies. Moving forward, we will continue to apply the decisions of the provincial government and the party committee to apply the policy measures of the province and the local government to help these small, micro, and medium enterprises, to apply the existing policy measures and make sure that they can release their effects and benefits to the enterprises, to help the enterprises to tide over the difficulties, to give them tangible benefits, help them survive this difficult challenge from this epidemic. Now the floor is open for your questions. Please first identify yourself. Thank you. I'm from China News Agency. I have a question about the taxes and fees policies to support the work resumption of these enterprises. I'll give the floor to Mr. Zhong Zhiqing. Thank you for your question. This year, the COVID-19 epidemic has caught everyone by surprise. It has also brought an unprecedented heavy blow to the socio-economic development in our province. Enterprises in our province have faced tremendous challenges and difficulties. The local government as well as the central government have published multiple preferential policies to benefit the SMEs and SMBs, for example, from the level of taxes and fees. First of all, we have the temporary cuts of taxes and fees since the 1st of March. Until December this year, we will exempt the pre-existing 3% of VAT for the small taxpayers. And also for the other life necessity related and logistics sector, catering and hotel sectors, as well as the tourism, they will also be exempted from this VAT. Second is the reduction of fees. For the employers' contribution to the 3 types of insurances of their employees is exempted. And for the other types of fees, for example, the registration fees, port utilization charges, as well as the toll fees, all of them are exempted. Number 3 is targeted assistance. For the enterprises and the sectors in extreme difficulty, for example, the filming industry, cinemas, and others, they will continue to benefit from the existing preferential policies, especially on their income taxes. For the corporate income taxes in these enterprises, the declaration deadline will be extended until the last day of June. For the small business owners and individual business owners, they can postpone that even to the next year. Judging by the current situation, those policies to cut fees and taxes have released positive results. And it's very popular among the people because they have really benefited those enterprises. For the first 4 months of this year, the newly added taxes and fees cut policies reached more than 30 billion. And we have newly added a quota of 15.4 billion RMB of taxes and fees cut. They are working very well in supporting the work resumption of the enterprises. We have helped 1.1 million enterprises out with those existing policies. We have cut 980 million RMB for small taxpayers and enterprises. From February to April, for 180,000 enterprises, we have exempted their contribution to the employees' social security scheme and also the contribution to their employees' medical care program. This is a bigger cut in comparison with the level of last year. For the VAT, we have also realized 1.3 billion RMB of return to the enterprises. This has helped a lot of SMBs and SMEs out. And government has also assumed its responsibility. Moving forward, we will continue to apply all the existing policy measures to cut the taxes and fees burden of the enterprises, especially the small, micro, and medium enterprises. We also hope that the entrepreneurs could consolidate their confidence and work harder together with the government so that we could bring the economy of the province back to normal track and towards a more prosperous situation. I'm from China Daily. Many enterprises are suffering from the COVID-19 with bigger liquidity problems. Do you have some more financial policies and fiscal policies to help those enterprises to resume their activities as soon as possible? Thank you for your question. In order to help those enterprises in the shortage of liquidity and help them to restore the normal operation capacity, we have innovated the model of administration and published the policy measures to help the enterprises. We have set up the so-called makeshift hospitals or the makeshift policies to help those enterprises out. We are relying on the capacity and decisions of the local government at the prefecture and the city level. In this special time spot, we have considered the differences in the circumstances and have set up the collaboration between the government and the enterprises. In order to address the current problem, we have elaborated the relevant policies and established the platforms. First of all, we have initiated the platforms working plan of the makeshift hospital for Jinmen as well as other cities. They have started the rescue plan for the enterprises, and they have revealed the preliminary success in this action. By the end of May, for 17 cities and prefectures, we have set up 67 rescue points for the enterprises. Those 67 rescue points have helped 16,000 enterprises, newly added loans more than 50 billion RMB. Financing out of the balance sheet reached 19 billion RMB. In total, there are 109 billion RMB used in the assistance of the enterprises. There are also 20.9 billion of loans renewed for these enterprises, and also a huge amount of the overdue loans have been postponed for the payment. Moving forward, we will continue to seize the window time and the big opportunity to apply all the existing policy measures of the government locally and from the central level, and also to give more campaign activities so that we can give the information to the enterprises. We will do all we can to help the entrepreneurs to consolidate their confidence and also to facilitate this procedure of grants of loans. Next question, please. I'm from Hong Kong Business Daily. Employment is a very important part of the society. SMEs and SMBs are big creators of employment opportunities. What are the measures to help them with employment? Thank you for your question. Policies to support the employment and business startups are numerous, and here I'd like to give you some examples. For example, the loans to business startups and other subsidies to the loans. First of all, this policy is aiming at several entities: the registered unemployed personnel, people having difficulty in finding a job, and people living in extreme poverty. And considering the negative impacts of COVID-19, since the 17th of April, the wholesale, retail, catering, hotel, logistics, transportation, as well as the culture and tourism in those areas, for those small business owners that have lost their income for a temporary moment, as well as those self-run drivers, they are included in the assistance list. Most of them come from the service industry, and they are heavily hit by the COVID-19 in this period. And those are the objects of the policy, or the beneficiaries of the policy. For the qualified personnel, including the independent business owners, if they apply for a loan of less than 200,000 RMB, then they could receive a full subsidy from the local government. For the small business owners, if they recruit more than 5% of the existing number of the enterprises, and when they apply for a loan of less than 3 million, then the Department of Finance will give 50% of subsidy starting by the date of the signature of their contract. And next, for those qualified business startup owners, they could also receive a subsidy for the loans. Number 5, for those SMBs and business owners running into temporary difficulties like the shortage of liquidity, including the self-employed business owners, they could postpone the payment of the loans until the last day of March 2021. So it's only our province that is applying such a policy. You can never find a similar one in other provinces. During this period, you can still enjoy this subsidized loans. Since the first day of this year, the newly issued guaranteed loans to SMBs and SMEs they will receive a ratio of 1.5 percentage points lower than the LPR, and the Department of Finance will make its best support to guarantee that financial sources. Next question, please. I'm from the radio of Hubei Province. In our province, what are the measures to support those enterprises to get listed in order to have a loan in the market? Thank you for your question. The regional equity market is an important part of the financial market. It can help to enlarge the financing channels of the enterprises and also drive the economic growth. By the end of May, in Wuhan, in the share exchange in 2019, we have helped 152 enterprises to accomplish 377 financing based on the equity. The major indicators of the business are ranking among the best in the country. The local government and the party committee have attached great importance to the development of this market and also elaborated a lot of provincial policies. For example, in the notice of more support to the development of this market, in that market of Wuhan, we encourage more qualified enterprises to get themselves listed and demonstrated in this place. In the exchange of Wuhan, we have for the first time launched the seed board for the qualified enterprises. Until now, we have 36 enterprises from the province listed on this board. And now we have also organized the training seminars for the transactions of equities. We have formed more than 1,000 enterprises. For example, to help them with the establishment of online platforms. In May of this year, we have an online shopping mall released. There are 26 products now available in this platform, and they have also participated in the online inauguration ceremony organized by the Department of Agriculture and Rural Affairs of our province. They have also collaborated with the other local e-commerce platforms. Those are the recent results we have achieved. Moving forward, we will continue to promote the development of this board of transactions of the equity and also try to promote the development of other boards, for example, the transactions to benefit the residents, and more people can enjoy wider access, and they can also access to a higher level of capital market. Next question, please. I'm from Chutian Capital Journal. In the document, it's noted that you have a mechanism to allow government officials to visit and investigate the enterprises. So what is the latest progress? Thank you for your question. Since the 2nd of April, different levels of the local government have applied decisions of the provincial government and party committee to send their employees to visit enterprises so that they can brief enterprises the latest beneficial policies and also help them out in the difficult time. Over the past month and more, many progress has been made. Enterprises are very satisfied, mainly in 4 areas. First of all, it has created a good environment based on service. The provincial governor and also the general secretary of the provincial party committee have visited many leading enterprises in different areas in the province. They have listened to the comments of the business owners and also help to come up with new solutions. In total, we have responded to 103 major problems of the business. At local level, we are also in close contact with the business to ensure a stable development of the enterprises. Until now, we have in total sent 12,000 officials from the government to visit 19,000 enterprises in the province. For those common issues, for example, the reduction of the fees and taxes, the supply of medical utilities, we have helped the enterprises out in solving the difficulties. We have also helped to tackle 17,000 enterprises of the enterprises. Among these questions, 3,400 of them are related to the epidemic response, and 3,300 of them have been resolved. For the operation-related problems, there are 7,000 of them. We have already tackled 5,000. For the policy-related, we have resolved 3,100 and more. All those endeavors have helped to apply the existing policy measures. Especially during this epidemic era, all the newly established policies are delivered to the enterprises. We have given them detailed interpretations so the business owners can make the best use of the policies. For example, they have benefited from the tax cut policies to save more than 25 billion RMB. The return of unemployment insurance payments to the enterprises have also been accomplished. We have cut the interests of the loans for enterprises by 1.4 billion RMB. Number 4 is that we have facilitated the steady progress in the work resumption and socio-economic development. With the precondition of epidemic control, we have basically caught up with the pace of economic and social development of the rest of the country. We have realized that 98.6% of the work resumption ratio and 96.6% of the personnel return ratio. The GDP in April has narrowed significantly compared to the decline of the previous month. Moving forward, we will continue to listen to the feedbacks of the people, make more efforts in tackling the difficulties for the enterprises, increase the efficiency in our work, and try to make our application of the existing policy measures effective so that they can deliver tangible benefits to the enterprises and also create a sound environment for doing business. Thank you for your questions, and thank you to all the speakers. This is the end of today's press conference.